Hello everyone and welcome to I am MS Excel Expert tutorial series. Today is day 38 and in today's video we are going to look at a set of data where we are going to filter it down, and based on that filtered information we are going to create these specific tabs or sheets automatically. Once we have created those tabs and sheets, we are going to take away the data from the row set of data to those specific tabs and then format them as well. So basically three things we are going to cover: how to create multiple tabs sheets automatically, or how to copy paste a table in multiple tabs and sheets, or how to format tables in multiple tabs on sheets. So what do we have here is basically one small exercise. If you really see here what we have 10 students here. So from row 2 to row 11, 10 students we have, and their marks in mathematics, science, and English. And these marks are spread across from term 1 to 5. So basically you would see this set of data is repeated. So this is for term 1, so and so forth. We have like bottom, if you go further down, we have for term 2, then we have for term 3, right? And accordingly we have for term 4 and term 5 as well. So what we really need, we want to create a sheet. Let's say we want to create like sheets for each student. Let's see if I filter for, let's say, Aman over here, right? I want to like copy paste this set of data, like complete from name to this, and create a tab. That tab would have name called Aman. Let's say I'll rename it AMAN. Go back to this piece, copy this, come back over here and paste it down, and then remove these grid lines as well. So something like, we typically go over here and remove the grid lines. I want this task to be repeated for all the names, like the 10 students, right? The unique names. So for example, later in the day, somebody want to actually add a couple of more people over here at the bottom, then they can just keep on adding the names over here and our macro should, or VBA should work without any issues. Cool. So before we do that, let me just delete this particular sheet which I just created, right? And let me just create a button somewhere here. So if I go over here, create a button, right? So maybe something like that, and say new. I'm going to call it like button 2 only. Sorry. So first and foremost is that we have to define the worksheet which we are working on. So I'm going to create a couple of things. So I'm going to create a dim, which is like for the worksheet or workbook, sorry. Then I'm going to call that particular active sheet, right? Let's say I'm calling it actual sheet, which has the raw data, right? So I'm going to call it as a worksheet, and I'm going to set it, right? So basically my actual sheet would be um, this this workbook dot sheets, and then I know what is that sheet. So my sheet is basically this exercise. That's the name of my sheet. So I'm going to call it over here. I'm going to set it because this is the sheet which I will be using back and forth for this exercise. So now what I have done, I created a workbook. I have defined that. I have defined the sheet as well inside that. And then let me just activate that, right? So this is my code. So what I'm going to do now first and foremost thing is I have to go over here, look for the unique names we have. So I'm going to do the same task. So basically, once I have activated this one, I'm going to call a range, let's say from A1, right? So my particular VBA or code would go and stand over here in A1. Now what I have to do, I have to like select the complete set of data we have till the bottom, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm creating a selection here, right? So the selection we already have, then the selection which says, let's say it will go towards the end. So end into Excel down is something which I'm going to do, right? Sorry, DOWN, close the bracket and then say select. So this is what I'm going to do. So my macro would go and select this complete set of data till the end. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to copy this selection dot copy. And maybe I'll just take this as a copy, go somewhere in the same sheet, let's say maybe in O, and I actually want to like paste it like that, and then remove the duplicates. That's what I want to do. So probably I'll go to now range O1, something like that, right? I'm going to select that. Once I'll go over there, I am going to paste it, right? So I'm going to paste it. Once I have pasted it down, I want to make sure that this is not cut copy. So I'm going to call it like it shouldn't be cut copy. So cut copy mode should be false, right? So once that is done, then I want to make sure that I remove the duplicates, right? So I'm going to do the same thing, active sheet, because I'm actually working on the same sheet. So I'm going to call it a range, or maybe I can just remove this active sheet. It's not needed. So maybe something like that. So range, and then I'm going to call the complete column, right? So in this particular column, I actually want to remove duplicates, right? Then I want to make sure that I have only one column, right? Then it has a header as well, right? So we do have header, right? So that is also there. So we have, so it should be yes. So we have a header, because what is going to happen is going to take the complete column from here. It will have this name as the header as well. So we are going to call it that it has the header as well. Okay. So once this is done, now I'm actually going to create a loop. But before I do that, I should know that how many unique entries do we have. So let me just create one more small thing, which is going to count. So I'm going to call this as a integer. So this is an inbuilt um, worksheet function we have. Work, sorry, worksheet function. Why it is not coming? Sorry, worksheet. It should come by default. Application dot worksheet. Yeah, it's here. So worksheet functions. So we have a count function over here. So, but because we know that our count would be involving the text as well, so I'm going to do the count A, which will include everything, right? And we know that it is actually in the which range? So it's actually in range of column O, right? So this is it. So what is going to happen? It's going to give me a count, like how many unique entries do we have along with the header. So it will going to include the header as well, right? So now I'm going to create a for loop, right? Let's say, let me call for n equals to 2. Why the reason for calling 2? Because I know that my data will start from row number 2, right? This is Nishant. So this is from where my data will start, like the unique data will start from here. So from n to, let's say, this count. So basically I'm creating a loop here. Let me just write it next, something like that. Yeah, cool. So inside that, what I'm going to do, we also want to tackle one more situation here. That the situation is that, if we want to add a sheet, it should be next to this exercise, right? It should be like first come first services. So if Nishant is the first name, which is a unique name, and by that we have to create a tab name which is Nishant, so it should come next to it, exercise one. Let's say if you have to move and then Aman is a unique name, then Aman should come next to Nishant, not before Nishant or before this task or anywhere else. We want to like create a kind of a hierarchy, right? So what we can do, we can create one if function here. So, and this if would be just for the first um, sheet, right? So if this is the case, I'm going to create an if as well, and inside that we can create else. So this is the loop we are going to create. So if n equals to 2, right? Let me just first activate this particular sheet. So this is the sheet, right? I can just take it from there, activate that. Now inside that, because we have to work, right? Let me just call it the first name, let's say filtered name, right? So that is the first name I'm going to call it, which should be by default actual inside my actual sheet, right? Or maybe you can just call it a range because we have already activated the actual sheet. So inside that range, we are going to call it this particular column, right? And then n. So basically what is happening here, I'm actually calling f name is what? It should be Nishant. So I'm actually referring or giving a name to this particular location. So Nishant is f name basically, right? Now what I have to do, I have to take this f name and create a sheet. So how can I create? So I'm going to put sheets, then add, right? And then in bracket, we can call it after, right? So I want to create after sheets because we know that we want it like the first one next to exercise, right? That's where I want it. Now close the bracket and then I want to name it as well. And the name should be filter Nishant. So F Nishant basically, right? What is happening? I'm adding a sheet after exercise sheet and I'm calling that as F name. And we know F name is what? Nishant. That is the first cell over here, right? Once that is done, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to activate that particular sheet. So sheets, F name, and then I'm going to activate it because that's where I'm going to work, right? Correct? Okay, so let's say if it is not 2, then what? So let me just copy this whole set one more time so it's easy to replicate. So, okay, what we have done, we have activated that particular sheet, right? And we have renamed it. So basically the next name is again in the loop. Let's say it's n equals to 3, then this else loop would be in action. So this would be, let's say, Aman, right? So Aman would be f name in this case, but this has to come next to what name we have recently created. So the next, like the sheet we have created recently. So basically, Aman's sheet should come next to Nishant's sheet, which we just created. So for that, what we are going to do, obviously we cannot use this section, right? Exercise one, right? So for that, we have to do something else. So what we can do, let's say we will call it an old sheet or something like that, right? So old sheet would be, let's say I'm going to call it my actual sheet, right? That's the name. Inside that, we know that there is a range which has the name, right? Because using that name only we created the sheet, Nishant sheet. So we know if I go over here and then n minus 1, if I do it, right? That's the Nishant name. Let me just reiterate for you guys. So basically what I'm doing, n equals to 2, right? That means n equals to Nishant. So I want this Nishant sheet next to exercise. That's what I'm doing over here. So add a sheet after sheets called exercise and rename it as Nishant. Now in the n equals to 3 for the next name, unique name in the queue, what I'm going to do, I'm actually want to create a sheet which is next to the previous one, that is Nishant. So what I'm doing over here, I'm calling the previous one. First of all, the previous one is n minus 1, right? So this n minus 1 is what? Is basically your Nishant. So I'm calling that this sheet should be created next to n minus 1. So instead of exercise, what I can do, I can remove this exercise, copy this old sheet, and then paste it down over here. So every single time the new sheet would be like copied next to the previous one. Okay, so this is again wrong. So we need to activate this. So name dot, first of all, it should come by default. So sheets in f name dot activate. It should come, but it's not coming, but that's okay. So what is going to happen, right? So whenever it is not equals to like n equals to 2, this particular code will run. So I'll just copy paste this, activated, right? Now what we have to do, let's say if you have created the the sheets, the next step is to copy paste the data, basically to filter the data by the names and then copy it from the exercise tab. Basically, let me just go over here. Let's say if I've created Nishant tab over here, I want to go over here, filter the data with the name Nishant, right? So, and copy this complete set of data, go to that particular new sheet called Nishant, paste it down over here, come back over here, unfilter it, right? That's what I want. So for that, let me write a couple of lines again over here because this has to be the part of the for loop only, right? So it has to start from here. So let me again activate this one. Oh, activate this, but from here, right? Once that is being activated, what is the next step? We have to call and create a filter, right? That's what we have to do. And then inside that filter, we have to put the name of the sheet. So what I'm going to do, once this is being activated, I'm going to call it a range, right? So the range should start from A1, correct? And it could go to like any set of data. You can define it maybe like complete sheet or whatever. So in my case, I have data from A to E. And if I go to the end, then we have data till 51 row only. So let me just put it like till 50 or maybe like 500. So it's going to be E500. That's what the range I'm actually selecting, right? Then I'm going to put a filter over here. So it should be auto filter. That's the function over here. Then it should be in which field? So it should be on field number 1, right? That is my column A, correct? And then the criteria, right? So that's criteria, and that criteria number 1 would be with F name, right? Because by this name, actually, I want to create it, right? So what is happening? Fill. Oh, I didn't put the comma over here, so I need to put a comma. So it has to be like this, right? So yep. So that means what is going to happen with that particular name. Let's say if I go over here, Nishant, the data will be filtered with the name Nishant. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to select it, right? Same way that way we did it like over here, something like that. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to take this set from here, copy and paste it down over here. So what is happening? I'm going to the A1, then going to the down, but yeah, this down won't work over here because we have to first go to the right. Exactly. So we have to go to the right. So first of all, I need to change this function over here to right and delete this down. Once this is being done, then I have to look for the down one as well, because what is happening, I'm going to the right and then down, right? Because I want to select everything and then again copy this piece, paste it down again here, and here I'm going to say down, DOWN, right? What is happening now? I have selected the complete set of visible data and copied it up. Once I have copied it down, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to activate my this sheet, the new sheet which I have added, the F sheet. So I'm going to call it, let's say sheet, sheets F name, right? I'm going to activate it, activate. Then I'm going to go to the range number 1, right? And select it. Once that is being selected, let me just go a little bit down so that you can see it properly. Once that is being done, I'm going to directly paste it. So active sheet dot paste, right? Because I know there will be like values, but if you think you have formulas, you can actually paste values as well, right? And there's one more thing I think we discussed, that I actually want to remove the grid lines as well. So what I can do, I can just remove the grid lines by saying this code, active window, then we have a display, display, there's a formula called grid lines. Yes, that's there. So grid lines, I can make it false, right? So they should be removed. Now what I can do, So once I have pasted down the data, I actually want to go back to my exercise sheet and unfilter the data, right? So that I can use this loop again for the new criteria. So first time I'm using for N1, and sorry, N2, N3, and so forth, so and so forth for all the unique numbers. So here, what I'm going to do, I'm going to flip back to my actual sheet, that is my exercise sheet over here, and unfilter the data, right? That's the last thing. And there's one more thing I think we are still missing here is cut copy paste mode, right? I think we use somewhere at the top. Yeah, that's there. So we can take this piece again from here and paste it down here. So that's what we are doing. And then inside the active sheet, right? Active sheet, I want to show all data. So this would remove the filter. So ideally this particular code should work. Let's test it. If it is not going to work, then let's debug it, why it is not working, right? So let me just, before I do that, I'll go over here and remove this particular O data we have, right? So let me just go over here and run it. So we have an issue over here. What is happening here? It says that before you do that, range selection star. Oh, so actual seat, right? Ideally, it should work. So it should be a one that should be selected. Then inside range selection. Oh, so this is section. This should be selection. Okay, that is a problem. Okay, let me just remove and let me just cross verify wherever we have used these copy paste function somewhere. Have we used the selection or section? We'll just, yeah, it's again, we have to remove over here, right? Because this has to be like selection. Let me just stop it and try to rerun it again. Do we have anything over here? No, we do not. Let me just run it again. Hit. I think it's running fine. Yeah, no issue still here. Yep, it's done. It's done. Let's flip back to the Excel and see how the data is. Okay, so we do have it's unfiltered, right? Where's the button? Oh, here's the button. I think we need to put one code as well, which will remove this set of data from here. So somewhere here, I think you can um, paste it down that, before you select this, right? You can just say complete column, right? Clear content. So you can just say clear content. Yeah, it should work. Let me just, and then we have, you can see the names here, right? We have Nishant here. Grid lines are removed. We have the table filtered. We have the Aman here, Naveen, so and so forth. We have all the names which are unique, right? We can do one thing. We can just delete all these sheet one more time and try to see if that column O data is being deleted automatically or not, right? So let me just delete all these sheets. So I actually want to make sure that this column O data is also being deleted. Let me just click on this button because this button is what we created for this particular set of code. Let me click on this one. It says something is wrong. Uh, active sheet. Oh, because we cleared it and then the selection is off, right? Yeah, yeah, makes sense. What we are doing, why there's an error. So we copied it and then we are saying clear the content. Well, the moment we execute this particular task, there's nothing being copied. So we have to recopy it. Or what we can do, we can actually cut this from here, right? And paste it somewhere here, right above it. So that every single time it's first clear the data from column O and then go to column A and copy the data, right? Let me just stop it then and there. And let's me see if we have anything here. No, nothing is there. Let's run it again. So if I'm going to run it, it's running. Yep. I don't think it will have any issues. Yep, it's done. Let's go back. Oh, so we do have data here. So that's weird. Something is off. It's not clearing the content over here. We have to do this set again at the end, because at the end we are again copy pasting the data. So somewhere here, right? Once the loop is being run, we can do this, that we activate this particular sheet, right? And then we are clearing the content over here before we end the loop, right? Let's try one more time. Let's try one more time. And I just hope that, let me just delete these tabs one more time. Yep. Let me hit on this button. Yep. It's working. It's working. You can see that's true. And is it going to remove it? Yeah, it has to remove the data from here, right? So that's what we are looking for it. Cool then. Okay. So this is what we have. So basically in this video, what we did, we created multiple tabs based on the criteria from one set of like raw data. Then based on those sheets name, we filter the raw data and paste down the specific data points into the certain or specific sheets. Then we also looked into how can we remove the grid lines and keep the table format. So yeah, that's it. Thank you so much, everyone.